Hello and welcome to Quiet RC. As usual, I am Rob. Today we're going to talk about the 45th anniversary Porsche 934 from Tamiya on the TA02 SW chassis. And in this video, we're going to settle it once and for all whether or not it's Porsche or Porsche. I'm just kidding. There's no way I could settle that argument in any video, let alone this video. Shh. Finally, I got to actually get to building this 45th anniversary Porsche.
Hey! It's Porsche!
Anyway, I picked this up maybe about not quite a year ago. You can actually find them out and about on various forums or even on eBay or some other auction sites for, I think it ends up probably around $500 is what you're looking at. Got it about that price, good price, nice guy that sold it to me. Before I had this, I had actually already done a TA02 kind of retro project because I had a TA02 back in the day. However, when I got mine, it was around the time that the RS4 and a lot of more belt-driven stuff was coming around, so almost immediately it was actually kind of outdated. But I loved it anyways, and I had actually put the FRP double-deck chassis that this comes with. So let's also talk about this Porsche's Stuttgart brethren. I originally purchased the TT01E kit. I'll put the number of that kit down here, though I'm pretty sure it's discontinued at this point. I've seen some pretty high numbers for what that kit is going for. But I took the body from that kit, used the TT01E just to get back into some club racing, things of that nature, and went through the whole process of kind of going and tracking down all of the kit and parts and everything like that, upgrade parts for a TA02. The TA02 kit that I bought for this was actually the Opel kit, and I'll put that kit number down here as well. And then I went about upgrading, finding the FRP chassis, finding the pink anodized shocks, which I also used for this build. Went through the whole process of painting this one, which I'll get into both painting this and this towards the end of the video. But let's go ahead and start to get into the actual building and going through the opening of this kit. Now, one of the best things about this kit is the actual presentation that the kit comes in. When you open up that box, there's a certificate of authenticity. I don't know where I'll be checked for that certificate of authenticity, if there's places I can and can't go with or without that certificate. But what's nice is all these parts are in kind of blister packs on top. Some of the nicer parts like the CBDs, the springs, the wheels and tires are kind of set aside. The way that the actual body fits into the packaging is really cool. It just adds to the whole experience of building this kit. That makes it so much fun to build. But speaking of building, let's go ahead and get into that. So, as with, for some reason, every Tamiya kit, start on step 2, on page 4. I don't even know what step 1 is. I know page 1 and 2 are like the radio and stuff like that, but I don't really know what step 1 is. I never really stopped to look at it. Anyway, step 2. You're actually going to be building the differential. It has a front gear and a rear ball diff. One of the things that they mention or point out in the actual instructions is that there's 2 different outdrives that look very similar. There's a dull one and a shiny one, so just be wary of that if you're going to be building this kit. Right away, too, they have you mounting the motor in here. The thing that I do remember from building this kit, from building the kit back in the day, and other Tamiya kits do this as well, is one of the things on the part sprue is a little spacer that you clip out and you use to properly set the spacing for the pinion gear. Now, I decided to use a brushless system with this. I felt because this 45th anniversary kit that came out when there was brushless stuff around that didn't feel so bad about making it a little less retro. This one, and I'll get into what's in here in a little bit, is set up not as a brushless system. When I did put that together, the pinion on the actual motor, I felt when I installed it, it was way too close to the actual kind of inside of that kind of rear assembly for the TA02 here. So I actually took it back out and just scooched in just a little bit closer. I don't know if that's an issue with there's a slight difference between the brushless motor and brush motor on spacing, but regardless, that's where I ended up with that. When you get into bag B, it's just building the front differential, which obviously is very similar. This one actually has a front one-way in it. I replaced the gear diff that came in this one with a front one-way, and the gear diff that originally came in the Opel chassis kit I replaced with a Manta Ray ball diff, which is what they used for this. On both of these, I've actually used the pink low friction dampers. I don't know why, I just think they're awesome looking, especially when you get the fully coated, color coated springs. Looks great, really sets off the car as it is. And who knows, I don't really know why all of a sudden, you know, Tamiya kind of now is more known for their blue anodized stuff, but they just had these pink anodized shocks. They look awesome. So I got those for both this, had to track them down for this, and had to track them down for this, but that's what's on there now. Bag C is just continuing with the suspension, but more interesting is when you get into bag D with this kit. With this kit, as I mentioned, it doesn't come with the original TA02 plastic tub chassis. It comes with the upgraded FRP double deck chassis. Now, for whatever reason, again, just a personal preference, I think the FRP chassis looks better than the carbon fiber chassis. I think it's because the FRP is a little bit more of the time of the TA02, whereas the carbon fiber one feels a little bit too modern for it. Again, it's just a weird preference, but I think the FRP chassis looks great. Again, I put the FRP chassis on this retro build that I did here. Once you've completed the FRP chassis, it's all on the J tree as well. It's a slightly harder plastic that you use to actually put together that double deck chassis. Because I used a low profile steering servo, I was able to actually fit all of the electronics on the lower chassis. And especially now with kind of more modern receivers that they're all just a lot smaller than they used to be, you can fit everything on the lower chassis. Though officially in the instructions, they do have you mounting, I think it's the ESC or maybe the receiver on the top of the chassis. But again, with the low profile servo, with modern receivers, not necessary. Almost the entirety of this build, I just used a regular number 2 JIS screwdriver by hand because I didn't want to risk stripping out anything. However, when I got to the wheels for this kit, each wheel uses 5 JIS Phillips head screws to hold on the gold, kind of BBS style wheel here. I just was like, nah, I'm not gonna do 20 screws around here. So I did use a power driver for that. And what was interesting is when I went to go glue the wheels on, the backside, actually the bit of the chrome started to flake off on the backside. Now, fortunately, it didn't happen on the outside of the wheel, so I don't even know what I would do at that point if it started to flake off, but on the inside it did. However, what was nice is that they did leave chrome off of the actual grooves inside the wheels, so when you go to glue it, you don't have to kind of sand that chrome off because the glue will stick to just the chrome and the chrome will peel off. That happened with, I think it was, my blockhead Wild One here. I had originally just glued it straight to the chrome and it started to come off and I had to go back and sand it all off. And I think what I'll do now is I will actually take the shells off of both of these and talk a little bit about the electronics that are in both of these. Now, as I've done before with some of my builds, I've actually used the Racing lighting kit. The full lighting kit that they kind of recommend, Tamiya recommends for this body kit, is their whole lighting kit that almost like they use on their semis. So I think if you were to go all in on the lighting kit, it's like another $100 or $150, way too much. Racing lighting kit, I understand it's just, 2 front lights and 2 rear lights, fine. For $8, that's fine. So that's what's in here. The kit does come with full light buckets though, and the Racing ones drop right in there in the 5mm hole ones, so that's a nice bonus. Now, as you can see, I have a battery pack in here, but this is actually a 2S LiPo in the kind of shotgun battery form, so it'll fit these older Tamiya kits. As you can see with this one, this actually comes with the red chassis parts here, which The color actually makes it look really nice, makes it really pop. In this one, I've actually used a Speed Gems 2. This was a new in package that I purchased, and this Tekin G12C3, which was a ESC that I had when I was younger, as well as I have this is kind of a little trick here, but I actually have an original Airtronics before they were just, well, they were Airtronics Sanwa, now we just call them Sanwa, receiver here. But what I did is I actually opened it up, took out the original kind of actual like insides of the receiver and put one of the new Sanwa receivers in here. So while this does work, this works with a modern radio. It just looks like an older radio. And then I don't remember exactly what servo I had, but new old stock servos are really hard to come by. And I did come by this one, but it's just a really basic original Airtronics servo that used to come with the radio, so it's actually kind of slow. But as you can see, I don't drive this one. This one is truly a shelf queen. Whoops. This one, however, I have driven, and I did plan on driving it. You'll see some footage here. But I also went ahead and used this kind of ProTech universal chassis protector, put that on there, and hit it with a heat gun, and it kind of really looks nice. It's pretty nice on here, covers all of the screws and everything like that. These are the low friction pink anodized CVAs that I was talking about. Now, the kit does come with plastic CVAs, oil-filled shocks, I should say, and so that's really nice. You don't really need to do this. And Gavin over at RC Kicks did a whole kind of tutorial on this part of it, but you'll notice that even though this is the TA02SW, or short wheelbase wide stance, you'll notice it really kind of doesn't quite fit back here into the arches, and it's a little bit forward on the front here. Gavin did a whole video on actually how to properly kind of get this to fit better. I kind of chickened out. I thought I was going to do it. I decided not to. It does involve some cutting and trimming and adding shims and things like that. But if you want to do that, he does have a video on that. I also went all Tamiya on this. So I have a Tamiya low profile servo. I have the Tamiya brushless ESC censored. And then I also have a 21.5 Tamiya, I think it's the TBLM02S, S for censored, TBLM for motor, O2 for the second generation, S for censored. There you go. That's how you do it for the motor back here. So it's pretty quick, it's nice, especially using this 2S LiPo. Let's talk a little bit about painting the body here, and I'll also talk a little bit about painting this body. This body doesn't come with any holes in it. You do have to create your own holes, but they have little dimples for where they go, so you don't have to really do a whole lot of guesswork. You just put the 5mm holes where those dimples are, and you can kind of start off with there. So the body is not pre-trimmed. I use the score and snap method.
Bend and snap.
Where you're actually using a X-Acto knife, or hobby knife, if you will, around the whole thing, and then you just cut little reliefs, and then you can just literally snap it right off, and it's very clean. In my first time body painting video, I go through this score and snap method a little bit more. With this body set, the holes were actually pre-drilled for the TT01E chassis. Thankfully, because Tamiya is fairly consistent, the TA02 body post positions are exactly the same as the TT01E. So without having to put any new holes in this dropped right on in perfect place. The masking that's provided for the Porsche body is really extensive. It has obviously all the windows, but it also has the headlights and taillights because they give you obviously the option to put in lighting for it. Especially the front headlights are very complicated for masking purposes because it has just the circle for the actual headlight, and then it has like a little surround that goes around it. So it's tricky, but it can be done. This body is not something a first-timer should do. It's something for sure for somebody with a little bit more experience in kind of prepping and painting bodies. The official instructions for this, it's just PS1 white, the whole thing. I wanted to do something a little bit different to set it off. So what I did is I first, after masking everything, I did 2 coats of what's called PS55 flat clear. And if you do that on the inside and then paint over it, you never even see it. But what it does is it creates a little seal around all of the masking points, so you have a lot less chance of that bleed coming through the masking. So I did the PS55, and then I actually had some old stock metal flake from Pactra, which used to be made by Testers, and it's actually a lacquer-based paint. So I had a little bit of an issue, and you'll see that in a second, with that metal flake, but it's a really cool effect of this metal flake because it has these, what would seem like giant flakes in it. After I did that, I actually did pearl white. Again, pearl is kind of like somewhere in between the metallic flakes in a metallic paint and just a regular flat color. So you get like these really small looking metal flakes in it. I learned a while ago that you just don't back that with silver because it'll actually make the pearl white look silver. So you back it with white, and then I backed that with the PS12 silver, and that's just to keep it nice and light colored when you go to put in the PS23, which is gunmetal. So to review, it is flat clear, then the metal flake from Pactra, then I put in the pearl white, backed by PS1 white, backed by PS12 silver, and then lastly backed by PS23 gunmetal. Problem is, when you go to do the wing, which is one piece, so it's nice, you are actually supposed to do that in white and flat black, or sorry, a semi-gloss black. But you have to go in reverse order because this is obviously not a clear thing, this is an ABS. So I had to go in reverse order, but with this, first I actually sanded it, then I did a primer, and then I used the liquid mask to kind of mask off where the black and the white were going to be. However, I made the mistake of not listening to my own advice that I often do, which is just cover the whole thing. You cannot be precise when using liquid mask. You just need to do the whole thing and then cut out exactly what you want to do. In my video about painting your first body, I covered the whole body and then just basically cut out like some very small designs, and somebody commented like, why are you painting the whole body? The end result is that you're going to get a better result if you just paint the whole thing with a liquid mask and then just cut out what you want. Because I had trouble getting the liquid mask out of the little kind of fins here for the rear vents, and I had to actually just go back and do it again and paint the whole thing with liquid mask and then just start over. With the back here, I just kind of went in reverse. I did silver, then white, then pearl, and I think I left off metal flake because it really wasn't going to show up much on this. Sprayed it with some semi-gloss black to finish off this tail. The last part of it is obviously the decals. Now, people either hate decaling, or I'm one of the people that really love it. It's kind of like a little Zen meditation thing for me. So I actually really like doing the decals, and I like hand cutting all the decals. I use a hobby knife. Some crazy people like to use scissors. I've had this debate with people. They claim the scissors are better. You can be more accurate with it. I don't buy it. So I still think those people are crazy. I'm a guy that uses X-Acto knives for it. So you go through the whole thing. Again, another point that makes this like not really a beginner body, especially this rear bumper. The way it comes together, the Tamiya guys have it figured out on how they actually do all of the decals coming together to make it, but it is very difficult, and it just takes a lot of time and fiddling. Now, I do want to touch a little bit on painting up this body. This body, when it actually comes with decals for this whole part here, but I actually use the decals as a template, and this is actually painted in the gold. Also, the wheels are actually painted with Tamiya gold to match all of this stuff. Similarly, up here, this is painted and then clear coated. When you put this wing together, it's actually two parts that get put together and screwed together. I actually use the Tamiya putty.
Yeah, that's right.
To fill in the gaps and sand it down here so you can't see where those gaps are. And the decals on this one are similarly very difficult with all of the kind of compound curves that are going on here, but I managed to get all of it on here. Again, I love doing the decals. I think it's very rewarding. That is the 45th Anniversary Porsche, all put together and running, looking spectacular. blasting through the leaves. I think it's pretty quick, a lot of fun. I don't think this is going to be a regular runner, but I did want to not just have it be a shelf queen and actually get out there and be able to run a little bit, get a little dirty, but again, protect the chassis. So that is all I have for you today. Please remember to like and subscribe. I have a lot more builds coming up. Been collecting kits for a while, and I'm excited to get to build them and share them with all of you. That's all I got. We'll talk RC again later. Thank you.